How beautiful is this place? I've been here a few times this year, just sort of walking around and doing other photography jobs and stuff, and I always knew when autumn arrived that this spot would be incredible. Now unfortunately, the time of shooting this video, it's still quite early on in autumn, and although we've got quite a lot of really nice orange leaves and everything, which you will have seen me photographing last video or 2 videos ago, you know, we've still got a lot of trees that haven't yet started turning yet. So although there's these incredible pockets of colour along this stretch of river, we've still got, like I say, a long way to go until they're at their absolute optimum. The chances of me being able to come back here when it's at its optimum, probably in about a week's time, is very slim. So what I'm going to do is take a shot of this bridge with the autumn colours behind it here, and although the light isn't its best just now, it is still drizzly, it is still raining, so you know, we have got that sort of mistiness going on, not the mist I would have hoped for, but there's still that, you know, diffused light and everything going on in this location right now. But there's also all these incredible rocks around here that have got really interesting colours and patterns on them, and with them behind these beautiful orange leaves, it adds a lot of interest to this scene before me. So I'm going to play around a bit here with some sort of grand vista shots of the river and the bridge itself, but also some intricate and intimate shots of the rocks and the leaves that are surrounding this beautiful river location, and just make the most of the colours that we do have available to us today. We're beginning to get quite near to midday, and because of that, this shot here just, it isn't really working. I'm having a lot of issues with this very bright sky that we've got going on today, very overcast bright sky. When I'm doing sort of woodland photography, I'm sure you've heard a lot of other people saying this, but when you do woodland photography, it's best to kind of eliminate the sky from your scene. And obviously this isn't strictly woodland photography because I'm photographing the bridge with the trees around it. But ultimately what I would like to do is to be able to eliminate the sky so that you've not got that bright, blown out, overcast highlights in the sky, which isn't possible to do where I am, or in fact at all, to photograph this bridge. So really, the only time I can get a decent shot of this bridge with the autumn colours around it is if I'm here before sunrise, after sunset, or if we had a very changeable, moody day with really dramatic dark clouds behind it. But today's not that day. I'm also really struggling in this location to pick out parts of these colourful trees to put into compositions. Ultimately it just isn't really working very well. I found it very easy to do at the last location we were at, which you would have seen a video or 2 ago, but this location it's just not quite as easy. So what I'm going to do is forget about the river and the sort of wide open bits that we're at just now, and I'm going to delve into the woodland itself and see if I can find some, you know, shadowed areas with very little sky coming into the scene, so that I can get some really nice contrasted, vibrant autumn colours within the woodlands and utilise what we have here today and the conditions that are presented themselves to us. I always like to say to people, you can get good photographs in all weather, but you have to adapt to that weather conditions in order to get those good photographs. And today, or at this point in the day, being out on the river isn't working. Too bright, too dark, but in there, that's where the gold is. So that's where I'm off to now. So my woodland idea at the bridge never worked out. So I was quite hungry and I wanted my lunch, so I went and did that rather than exploring the woods further. But we've now come to another location, which is about a 15-minute drive down the roads, and this location is another nice woodland location. It's got a nice loch and everything as well here, and we've also got a lot of interest in that in this area. And I didn't expect to get many photographs here because we're currently sort of really early afternoon, not a great time for landscape photography. The mist has now dispersed, the rain is on and off, but it's becoming a lot lighter, so we've not got that drizzliness through the scene either, and the light is becoming quite harsh in places. But what I discovered here is this shot where we've got this really big prominent tree with these beautiful autumnal leaves that are hanging over this track here and leading to these bright red boat huts in the distance. So for me, I'm taking this photograph because although we've not got the nice optimum misty conditions, we've got a nice focal point, beautiful autumnal colours, a leading line with this track, and also a nice focal point in the background which adds interest with the boat houses. So I've taken a few shots here, experimenting with landscape and portrait orientation to try and see which one works better. Also playing around with apertures to try and change my depth of field to allow some more mystical type photographs, you know, where you're really honing in on the point of interest and blurring out the surrounding area. But I've also used f11 for a few shots as well, so I've got that front to back sharpness just to give myself something to play around with and see which one works better. So I'm going to show you them just now, and I hope they've turned out okay, because it's a good shot, I guess, to showcase that you don't always have to be out at stupid o'clock in the morning for sunrise or out late for sunset. You can, at this time of year, if you get the right conditions and you're in the right spot, get some decent images in the woodland too. So being out during the day, although the light isn't at its best, you can still get good photos, as I mentioned a minute ago, but it's also a great time to scout out locations for potential future shoots, but also to practice your composition. And one thing that just really stood out to me just now is behind me there's this lovely old wooden fence with these lovely autumnal trees along the fence's edge. And just now this photograph doesn't work because we've got a very bright sky, as you can see, and there's no mist, no fog, no interest or no dramatic light, so it's a very flat, boring image. But what I wanted to do was point out to you the great thing about coming out during the day and just utilising any free time you have to scout out potential locations. But even if you don't get a chance to come back and utilise those locations in better light, it also just allows you to train your eye to pick out potential good compositions for future shoots. And the more you come out and the more you admire the land and pick out beautiful compositions, then when you are out in optimum conditions, you'll find it becomes a lot easier. So this spot here, it's very unlikely I'm going to be able to come back and shoot this with a lovely early morning mist and fog. But if I do, if I do have the time, I'll know it's a location to come back to before the end of the autumn, or come back to next year if I get a chance. But like I say, if not, really good opportunity to train my eye further into picking out potential woodland compositions and enjoying just being out, even if it is the middle of the afternoon. having these silver birch trees that are scattered all over this woodland. The really frustrating thing is that I currently don't have a telephoto lens for my Z6 camera. I've been waiting for one for a few months now, but unfortunately they're not in stock, and the ones that I've been borrowing I've had to hand back. And the really frustrating thing about that is, because these trees are kind of scattered within the woodland, the only way I can photograph them at this time of day with the harsh light is to zoom into them from a distance so that they are surrounded by the darkness of the trees around them. And when I get close to them, which I've just done, you then end up with too much sky in your photograph, and you end up with a lot of highlights and contrast and not goodness, you know. It doesn't allow the tree to stand out and the colours to stand out against the dark background like I'd have if I was photographing these from a distance. So it is frustrating because I have these images visualised in my head of what I kind of want, and even though the conditions are nowhere near their optimum just now, it would have been a great chance to have gone home with some interesting telephoto zoomed in shots of these beautiful trees, but it wasn't meant to be. But as I think this video is really all about, is the idea of ensuring you get out during the day, especially in the autumn and winter, and just really utilise the time you have free to scout out locations and to visually, like I said, train your eye to what would work as a photograph, so that if you are out in optimum conditions in the future, you know what to shoot, you know what to look for, and you have a better idea of what you find makes a visually appealing image. So this afternoon for me has all really been about just enjoying the free time I have and just you know, looking for potential opportunities within the landscape, and especially because woodland photography is not my speciality, shall we say. It's nice to have the time to come out and enjoy this time of year and these types of locations, so that in the future it may be something that I feel more comfortable doing and have the camera gear that I need to really utilise these types of locations. As always, I want to say a huge thank you for watching. I hope this video has taught you something and inspired you to get out and enjoy this beautiful time of year. I hope to see you all again next time.